Ready. Good afternoon. It is 6:10. Thank you for your patience. I want to welcome everybody to our May 7th Charlottesville City School Board meeting. And if you will please join us in a moment of silence. Thank you very much. And if you will please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. Madam Clerk, will you please call roll?
Yes, Madam Chair. Ms. Bryant?
Present.
Ms. Burns?
Here.
Ms. Cooper? Ms. Dooley?
Here.
Mr. Meyer?
Here.
Ms. Richardson?
Here.
Ms. Torres?
Yes, thank
And
you.
Ms. Craig Headway?
Here. Thank you. Now I will entertain a motion for approval of our proposed agenda, please.
I move that we approve our proposed agenda.
Thank you, Ms. Dooley. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Richardson. Any discussion or questions? All in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. So moving on to 6.0, we are now going to recognize student and staff. And we have Dr. Isley, please.
We have several recognitions, so. Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, and Dr. Gurley. Tonight, Dr. Malone and I have the distinct honor of recognizing several outstanding students. And I think many of them are with us tonight. So when your name is called, just come up here and join us. First, we want to take a look back at a year of exceptional service. We would like to recognize our 2025-2026 student representatives to the school board. Ginger Craig Headway, who's up here with us, Solly Schwartzman, and Jayla Turner.
These students have provided commendable representation for our student body, ensuring their peers' voices were heard in every decision. So additionally, though, we also want to thank Harper Ulrich for her dedicated service as our representative to the Charlottesville Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. Here comes Harper. All right. Hold for a photo, and thank you for your leadership. Clap away.
Thank you so much. You all may be seated. Thank you. In anticipation of the official appointment appearing on tonight's consent agenda, we are thrilled to introduce the student leaders who will step into these roles for the 2026-2027 school year. The selection process this year was incredibly rigorous. Candidates participated in interviews where they shared their motivations, leadership skills, and what they could bring to the position. I want to thank our selection committee, Ms. Burns and Ms. Bryant, Ms. Webb Jordan, and Mr. Durer for their time and support. It is my pleasure to introduce our new student school board representatives. Kasia Edwards. Zaki Farhat. And Callie Sun. These students stood out for their thoughtful leadership and a genuine commitment to their peers. We look forward to working with you this year, and Ms. Samalchik will get a picture. In accordance with the city Parks and Recreation bylaws, we are also naming our representatives to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. Please join me in recognizing Leo Ripple, and Solly Schwartzman, who we're delighted to see continuing his service in this new capacity.
All right, and finally, we're excited to announce a unique learning opportunity. Through the support of Director Ryan Anthony, 2 students have been selected for shadowing opportunities within the Parks and Rec Department. We look forward to the growth of Kelly Luz Rivera Flores and George Ayton. More photos.
Board members, we are incredibly proud of these young leaders. We look forward to the perspectives they will bring to our work this coming year.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you. Let's see. Next, I have the distinct honor of recognizing our Golden Apple winners. The Golden Apple recognitions are a hallmark of educational excellence in our community. These awards would not be possible without the generosity of Mr. Richard Nunley and Better Living Building Supply and Cabinetry. For more than 20 years, they have championed our educators, not only with this recognition, but by providing each recipient with a $500 classroom grant to further support student learning. We are deeply grateful for their continued partnership. The Golden Apple celebrates the passion and dedication of our teachers. The Golden Apple recipients were recognized last week at a community celebration, but it's my pleasure to also recognize them here tonight. If anybody's here, you can come up. Otherwise, we have the photos up here on the screen. Bruce Van Dyke, Automotive Services Technology at K-Tech. Justin Newberry, Social Science, Charlottesville High School. Orawan Townsley, English ESL teacher at Charlottesville Middle School. Amy Jones, 2nd grade teacher, Greenbrier Elementary School. Audrey Athay Barnes, Hospital Education. Colleen Borgal, 4th grade, Jackson Baya Elementary. Nick Lyles, Alternative Education, Lugo McGinnis Academy. Catherine Plunkett, Media Specialist, Summit Elementary. Catherine Meany, 1st grade teacher, Sunrise Elementary. Christy Hartwell, kindergarten teacher, Tall Oaks Elementary. Allison Mutarelli, 4th grade teacher, Trailblazer Elementary. And Kobe Whitaker, 6th grade teacher, Walker Upper Elementary School. The commitment of these 12 educators is truly inspiring. Please join me in a round of applause for our 2026 Golden Apple winners.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Gurley. Tonight, we have the privilege of pausing to recognize the many different hands and hearts that make our schools run. Spring is a busy season of appreciation. We want to ensure every group of professionals who supports our students feels our collective gratitude.
We begin by recognizing our administrative professionals. These individuals are the command centers of our schools and departments. From managing complex schedules to being the first smiling face a family sees, their organizational expertise keeps our district moving forward. We also celebrated National School Principals Day recently. To our principals and assistant principals, thank you for your vision, your late nights, and your unwavering commitment to both your staff and your students.
April was Occupational Therapy Month. Our OTs do incredible work behind the scenes, helping students develop the essential skills they need for daily living, classroom success, and enjoyable play. Their specialized expertise ensures that every student, regardless of their challenges, has the tools to thrive. Continuing with more wellness champions, we want to recognize our school nurses for School Nurse Appreciation Day. They are much more than first aid providers. They are healthcare advocates, mental health supports, and a vital safety net for our school communities.
We also want to give a huge shout out to our school lunch heroes. These dedicated professionals in our nutrition departments work tirelessly to ensure our students are fed, healthy, and ready to learn. They truly are heroes in aprons. Finally, we come to Teacher Appreciation Week. Our teachers are the heartbeat of this district. They are mentors, innovators, and constant source of inspiration for our students. To every teacher in Charlottesville City Schools, thank you for choosing this profession and for choosing our students.
So whether they are in the cafeteria, the clinic, the front office, or the classroom, these professionals form the foundation of our success. We ask the board and community to join us in thanking them for their service.
Thank you both. And yes, I've got a long list of gratitude to share at the end of the meeting, so I'll hold that. We are now moving to special recognition, and we have Dr. Heltz to provide us with that. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, and Dr. Gurley. Each year, the Virginia School Board Association allows school boards to nominate 3 local businesses that provide support to their local school division. This is appreciated as schools face increasing budgetary uncertainty. The Business Honor Roll helps divisions say thank you to the businesses for vital contributions. This evening, in recognition of their outstanding contributions and ongoing support of the community's public schools, the superintendent recommends that the board honor Flow Automotive, Trend Salon, and Black Bear Composting. Later this year, VSBA will publish the Business Honor Roll in the association's newsletter and recognize the businesses or organizations on the VSBA website. The VSBA will also mail personalized recognition letters of congratulations to each business. Our first business is Flow Automotive. Flow Automotive is being recognized for its support of our students and schools. They've supported the funding of our track lights at Charlottesville High School. They also support CHS athletics. They also support K-Tech students and their work-based learning experiences, participation in advisory boards, and hiring events, to name a few. George Alphin and Jason Kiernan are here on behalf of Flow Automotive. Thank you so much. Our next business is Trend Salon. Trend is being recognized for its commitment and dedication to providing ongoing support for our schools, particularly K-Tech. Trend Salon supports our students' work-based learning experiences, participates in the Cosmetology Advisory Board, and attends K-Tech hiring events. They have also been known to hire several of our K-Tech graduates, as a few are here this evening. This evening, we actually have the entire leadership team from Trend Salon who is able to make it. So if the leadership team can come on down, we'd greatly appreciate it. Thank you, Trend. And our final business partner is Black Bear Composting. Black Bear is being recognized for its 10-year partnership with the CHS Urban Farming Program. Black Bear's willingness to collaborate with the Urban Farming Program by donating and delivering rich compost has helped our students and the community in focusing on the goal of providing the best public schools we can for every child. Eric Walter is here on behalf of Black Bear Composting. Thank you to all three businesses for your support and the time that you pour into our schools.
Thank you. We are now moving to comments from members of the community, and the first opportunity we open up is comments from students. So if there are any students in the media center who would like to come forward and provide public comment, we welcome you. Great, thank you. And there's another opportunity later. And now we open it up to comments from members of the community. And I believe we have Miss Tanisha Hudson. Thank you for joining us.
Hello. So I would like to cover a medical emergency that happened on April 15th. I'm gonna do my best to try to do this and not name names. So I have a few issues with what happened. And as you all know, when you signed the new collective bargaining agreement, you basically took out training for your staff and support staff, teachers, and so forth. So number one, I found holes in your emergency preparedness. Now, I know that all school districts do the ALIS training, which is typically for like inside a threat or school shootings or that type of emergency. But it also teaches you about emergency preparedness for medical issues. So I feel like the ball was dropped. I also feel there's a lack of accountability from the administration here at Charlottesville High School, as well as people at the central office, because the investigation took way too long. There's a couple of things here. First of all, the suspension needs to be removed off of the student's record because he wasn't caught. He admitted, but he wasn't caught, number one. Number two, 911 calls were canceled simultaneously while the first call was happening. The second call was called in, and dispatch never even thought to send an ambulance out here when a child was having an issue breathing. So there's just too many issues here that and 3 minutes is not enough time because I'm already down to 1 minute and 35 seconds. But a mental health condition or a mental health situation is a medical emergency. EMS should have came to the school when a child told an adult that they could not breathe. Ms. Bryant said she had mental health staff and her nursing staff on site, but she never said that they were in the presence of the medical emergency that was happening. So then I did a little research after I got a FOIA request and saw some conversations happening between upper admin, the administration over here, and then the individual in charge of facilities. So then I did a little research. Mr. Kugler had a
Ms.
27-year
Hudson, I'm
career.
going to ask you to please
as-
refrain from names, please. Thank you.
He had a career as a EMT who knows an emergency situation. He has more credentials than anybody else that was present at this scene, number one. The issue that happened on April 15th, you have holes in your investigation. It's a disrespect to your staff. You have 2 staff members who it was their family that this happened to. And then it was just a lack of care that was had when the call was told to be disconnected, not once, but twice, to the 911 dispatcher. This is disgusting treatment. This is a pure example of what I said when Ms. Powell was giving her presentation at the last meeting, that you all can manipulate data. So was this a direct reflection of you all manipulating data in real time, of not wanting to report it to Richmond? Because this was disgusting treatment, what happened here.
Thank you, Ms. Hudson. We don't have anybody else signed up currently. I don't know that we have anybody online that had indicated. All right, so we will be moving on. We do have another opportunity at the end of the meeting for public comment. And our next 9.0 is our student representative report.
Good evening. As this is my last meeting, I'd first like to thank the board for this amazing opportunity of representing my fellow students. It has let me connect with so many of my peers and it helped me appreciate all the hard work that goes into my education. I look forward to seeing all the amazing things next year's representatives will do. Since we last met, CHS students have been busy. There's been great success in our sports. Theater CHS put on an amazing production of the musical 9 to 5, and the class of 2026 had their decision day, celebrating all of their post-high school plans. And now we're almost halfway through our end-of-year testing. Seeing it is nearly the end of the school year, on the behalf of my fellow students and I'd like to extend a thank you to all of the amazing teachers, staff, and administration who have helped us learn all year. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, and we are now to 10.0. May I have a motion for adoption of our consent agenda, please?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions, discussion? All in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Any opposed? Thank you. And now we move to 12.0, which is our action item, which is our special ed annual plan. Ms. Rasnick?
Good evening, Madam Chair, Dr. Gurley, members of the board. I'm asking you to take action on our special education annual plan. We made one adjustment to shift some from object code 2000 to 1000 just to account for money we have available in the current fiscal year of the budget.
So I do need a motion, please, to
I
approve the
move,
special ed annual plan.
I move that we approve the special education annual plan / Part B flow through application for the 26-27 school year.
Thank you, Ms. Dooley, for your motion. May I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Richardson. Any questions or discussion? All in favor, please say yes.
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 Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're moving on to items for discussion, and the first topic is 13.1, which is our updated collective bargaining resolution. Ms. Lewis, thank you.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Gurley. I'm presenting the collective bargaining resolution update. This update includes update about licensed professionals, confidential employees, and the timeline. First, licensed professionals. In section 1 of the definitions, the resolution has indicated that specialist role, and we wanted to add some clarity by adding it's the math and reading specialist. We expanded the instructional technology teacher, resource teacher to include iSTEM, which is a CCS identifier. And then we made the special education related support staff a broader umbrella so that it would include occupational therapists, physical therapists, speech pathologists, board certified behavior analyst. Next, the confidential employees. The resolution defines confidential employees as any employee who, as a part of their job, has access to confidential information subject to the use by the employer in collective bargaining, or who act in confidential capacity on labor relations matters to persons who formulate, determine, and effectuate management policy in the field of labor relations for the school board. And we expanded this category to include positions that are at the Division Administration Office. Just a point of clarity, an employee does not include an elected or appointed school board official. Lastly, the timeline. In section 6 of the collective bargaining duty impasse and related procedures, the resolution was updated to add more specific timeline information. The initial document noted negotiations concluded in advance of the superintendent's budget-making process. With the recommended revision, we've added bargaining regarding matters intended by the parties be effective in the next fiscal year budget should commence sufficiently in advance of the beginning of the superintendent's annual budget, i.e. October 31st, which will allow time for impasse proceedings, application for bargaining unit approval process, so the board can make timely acts on the budget that incorporate a unit's approved tentative agreement. Those are all the updates that we have. I'm happy to address any questions you may have. And I do want to note that these changes would come into effect after the existing contracts have been fully implemented.
Thank you. Ms. Dooley, do you have any questions?
I do not.
Ms. Richardson? Ms. Cooper? No questions. All right. Ms. Bryant? Burns, sorry.
No question.
Either of you, sorry. Mr. Meyer?
Yeah, no, thank you for putting these together and presenting them, Ms. Lewis. Did the CEA have any observations on these changes?
They were presented with these changes.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. So you'll bring that back to us next? Do
Yes,
we
we'll
need to
bring
take
it back
action?
for approval. Yes.
Yes, thank you. All right, next we are at 13.2, which is our federal programs applications. So I believe we have a few of you presenting. Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Gurley, good evening. I'm here as part of a 4-person team to present to you about our federal program applications for the coming year. We are in the first step of our timeline, which is we bring the initial portion of the applications based on what we know today about those funding totals, which is approximately $2 million in total funds across the 4 titles. We bring our initial application to you today. And at our next meeting, we're going to bring to you a more fleshed out application as the state gives us more guidance and more information. By July, all 4 titles will have applications due to the Department of Education. And hopefully, assuming all goes well, we'll be able to start expending those funds beginning July 1. It is a 1-year grant award year in that they're annual grants. However, due to the Tidings Amendment, we actually have all the way until September of 2028 to spend those funds. So even though we think about them as 1-year grants, we're going to have a large window to spend those funds. We have 4 federal programs that you have in front of you this evening. The first is Title I. Title I addresses basic programs. It is for our at-risk students, primarily in reading and mathematics. Title II switches the lens from the student to the teacher and works to recruit, retain, and train high-quality teachers to support effective instruction. Title III is very much focused on language instruction, specifically for English learners. And Title IV provides the wraparound services and student support and academic enrichment. Because of this being such a large scope of work with $2 million of funding, it really attends to most of the portions of our strategic plan. So if it has to do with instruction and it has to do with student support, if it has to do with teacher support or teacher retention, it's going to be addressed by these plans. So there's broad applicability for each one of these application areas towards our strategic plan. I'm going to hand it over to Stacy Riedel to present to you on Title I.
All right, Title I does have the majority of our funds from the federal applications. Our fiscal year 26 allocation it's a preliminary, it can change, but right now they have told us it's $1,488,350.43. The mission of the Title I grant is to provide financial assistance to schools with high percentages of students from low-income homes in order to ensure high quality and equitable education for all students. In Charlottesville, we have five elementary schools which have met the school-wide Title I program requirements. That means at least 40% of their students are from low-income households. And because it's a school-wide program, we can use the funds to benefit all learners. The Title I grant focuses on 3 domains. It's literacy, math, and family engagement. The majority of our funds are to provide the reading specialists and math specialists, as well as high-quality intervention materials, resources, manipulatives, and professional development for our teachers to ensure that we're implementing evidence-based practices. It's also family engagement. That's often our literacy and math nights and events. We work with Bianca Johnson, and she's helped us to increase our participation and engagement at these events. And they're probably one of the highlights of this grant.
Title II focuses on supporting effective instruction by supporting staff. In our current year application, as you know, we have spent the majority of our efforts around new teacher mentoring and induction. We're really working to ensure that the new staff that we bring on board meet or exceed our retention rates for all staff. We're really hoping that all of that effort that we put into bringing new people on board leads to retaining those folks for a good long while to make a strong impact in our schools. We spend a significant amount of attention on licensure and endorsement. Not only do we bring on people who are licensed and ready to work, but through programs like iTeach, we have alternative routes into the teaching profession, and we want to make sure that folks who come to our school division have the support they need to both obtain that credential, but also be effective in the classroom. We have a career ladder that you saw last year about this time that we've been able to implement this year to work from our new folks to our veteran folks and make sure that each person has an opportunity to grow professionally in their own way so that we can continue to improve the quality of practice for all of our staff, regardless of their experience level. And finally, we introduced something new this year where our HR team is really working to improve our quality and our capacity so that we can be better in our efforts as we support each of the things that I've addressed. Finally, the major component of Title II is addressing professional learning. And right now as a division, we are engaged in a comprehensive needs assessment process in which we are trying to determine what are the big needs based on how our school division is performing, where we can spend funds in order to see the best development of our teachers so that we can see the most growth for our students. Thank you.
Good evening. Title III funds has 2 parts, and so typically or always we get that first one that you'll see, and the $80,000 was last year's funding. We won't know this year's funding until later in the summer. The second funding, the IY funding, is for immigrant and youth, and my suspicion is we won't receive that funding next year because that funding is tied to if you have a significant increase in your immigrant population. So in this school year, if we had a significant increase that was above the prior 2 school years combined, and a significant increase is 20 students, and so we won't have that. So my suspicion is we won't get that IY funding for next year, but we will continue to get the English Learner Title III funding, and we use that to upgrade our curricula, specifically to buy additional materials to help students have access to grade level Tier 1 instruction. We also can use it to provide tutors in the classroom. So we have individuals who come into our schools and support students in the classroom, and then through family engagement, different activities with our families, both in schools and then also at the Welcome Center. Thanks.
Hi, good evening. The Title IV grant is probably an amalgamation of, it was actually once 3 separate grants combined into one, but of all the federal grants, it probably gives us the most flexibility. And so our school division has chosen to use it primarily to do mental wellness and positive school cultural support. And so this has allowed us to start and initiate our social emotional learning program, both instruction and assessment. And so the current grant year, we're looking to use it primarily for our SEL assessment tool, which is called ADESA, which teachers and students both kind of complete a strength-based rating scale just to see where people are with their competencies. Care Solace, as you know, is our mental health and substance abuse coordination program that both our students and families and staff and their families all have access to, and then supporting the great work that Bianca Johnson is doing with restorative practices.
So as I shared with you at the beginning, we'll be back to see you at our next meeting. Hopefully at that point in time, we'll have a better idea about what the annual allocations are for each one of these grants. We might not, we did not last year at that time. But we'll bring that information to you. And we're here tonight to answer any questions as coordinators of those programs.
Thank you. Mr. Meyer, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I think Ms. Riedel, I just was looking at the budget. There is a small allocation for some private school supports. Can you explain how, I guess, we channel money from the federal
Yeah.
government to private schools?
It gets a little complicated, but I'm going to try and do it. Okay. So the part of the Equitable Services Act, a component of it is that any students who reside in a Title I school district and meet the eligibility, meaning like the poverty level, even if they're at a private school, that money gets allocated to the student. So the funds follow the kid. So we have if we have a student at, I'm going to say Charlottesville Day School, they live in Summit School District, which is a Title I school, then that student funds would be allocated to the private school based on the per student expenditure. It's not tons, but it's a requirement of the federal grant. So we have to include a component of it.
Yeah, I find it. And so, for example, just this year, which schools in our area received some money through this?
We had two private schools, Charlottesville Day School and Community Christian Academy.
All received some money through us from basically
Title
from
I.
the federal government because
Yeah, but Equitable Services is for all 4 grants. It's all with part of federal programs. It's just the criteria is different on eligibility and how much funds are distributed.
It's the same thing for special education. It's a component of that grant as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Ms. Cooper, any questions? Ms. Richardson?
Yes, thank you for breaking down the titles for us. So I believe I want to go to Title II. You mentioned you guys are doing something new with HR. I was curious if you can touch on that. What are you doing?
Sure. So it's common in Title II that we use those funds to pay for examinations for licensure. So in the way that a teacher needs to get licensed to be a teacher, we look as a department and we look around at the state of the art in the industry and we determine, we look at what our qualifications are and see what are the certifications. So there's 2 that our department is pursuing. They are the 2 recognized industry certifications for human resources. One is from the Society of Human Resources, often called SHRM, certified professional or senior certified professional, or the other one is the, you're gonna test me, Human Resources Credentialing Institute, HRCI, PHR, Professional and Human Resources. So those are certifications that we test on as an industry examination to show that we are up to date with the modern and what's the word I'm looking for? Make sure that we're up to date with the industry and maintain active credential.
Great. And then as far as retention and I guess recruiting Black professionals, how are you guys moving towards that?
I'd like to be able to come back and tell you about that next time. So I was involved heavily in recruiting in a previous year, but we have a new office, a new recruitment person who does that as her primary job duty. And I'd like to be able to bring that information back to you as an up-to-date, accurate representation of our efforts.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Okay.
Thank you.
I do have a quick question for Dr. Fouts. And I may have missed it, so I apologize, but the IY funding, I heard you say we might not get it. You're not anticipating it. Is there going to be a need or a gap?
What we've used that funding for the past few years is to help our high school students who are credit deficient so they can graduate in 4 years. And we're not using it that way this summer, only because our numbers aren't there again. So we have fewer students who are coming in credit deficient because we have fewer students. So I think we'll be fine. If we start getting more immigrant students, we'll get that grant again. and we'll start the program back up again.
So even like looking forward a year or two, I mean, if we're missing that funding,
I
are you
think-
able to forecast that there might be a need, or you feel confident you have a supportive board that you can come to and?
That funding is very specific. So the Title III funding, we can use for any student in our English language program. We can also use it for multilingual families, the parents who might, their kids might have exited our program, but we can still use it. IY funding, immigrant and youth, is very specific to students who have been in the country for 3 years and less. So because those numbers are dropping, we won't have students to use that money for anyway. So it really does match the need for the students. So if our numbers increase, and it's nice because it's annually. So if next year we get more than 20 new immigrant and youth students, then new immigrants, newcomers to our city, then we'll get it the following year. So it does really follow the students. So I think we'll be fine. But
Great.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. All right, next we have 13.3, Dr. Brown. Nice to see you.
Hi, everyone. Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Gurley. Many of you know me, but my name is Allison Brown. I'm the coordinator for history for the city. I'm here with Mr. Bennett, who is one of the administrators at Charlottesville High School, who's also in charge of the history or supervises the history department. So as you know, we were able to successfully add the AP African American Studies course to this year's program of studies. So we wanted to begin by thanking you. You received the program of studies in December and approved this course in January. Many of us have been working really hard behind the scenes to make this course happen and to bring this opportunity to our students. So we're just very grateful. The next part in that is when you bring up a new course, you have to find the right text to support students and make sure that we're setting them up for success on the AP examination at the end of the course. So that's what we're here to do today, is to recommend a text for approval. So moving right along. As you'll see, our agenda has multiple components. First, we're going to introduce the Textbook Adoption Committee and review our overall process thus far. It's important to note that we modeled this textbook adoption after previous textbook adoptions for AP Social Studies courses. The last one was in the 2017-2018 school year. We will also review our process and ultimately give a recommendation and explain our rationale behind that choice. We will cover the anticipated cost for this adoption, as well as potential next steps moving forward. And then at the end of the presentation, I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. So let's meet the committee. As you can see here, let's start with our teachers. So we have 2 teachers who are slated to teach this course next year. Mr. Timothy Johnson is our current CHS teacher. He teaches African American history and U.S. government. He has also taught in the past a variety of courses, including AP government. Next, we have Miss Rachel Carlton, who is another current CHS teacher. She teaches World History 2 and AP World History. She has also taught African American history, just in a different school district. Next, we have our department chair, Mr. Matthew Deegan, who teaches Virginia U.S. history and AP World History as well and presides over the department. Next, we have Joseph Patterson, who is one of the instructional coaches that supports our department. And then we have Rostio, again, admin over social studies, coordinator of social studies. Okay, so our process so far, we worked over the summer and the fall, like I said, to add the AP African American Studies course to the program of studies, and it was approved in January. Thank you again. After we got approval, I reached out to all of the publishers listed on the AP College Board website for the course. Of the 4 listed, 3 sent us books to review, so those were the 3 that we evaluated. And you'll see we took that evaluation process took place in March and April, where we individually reviewed the materials using the VDOE rubric, which we'll explain on the next slide. So these are the 3 textbooks that we reviewed: Freedom on My Mind, A History of African Americans with documents for the AP course, The African American Journey, AP edition, and the AP African American Studies from Slavery to Freedom. We reviewed each of the 3 textbooks using the Virginia Department of Education's textbook evaluation tool specifically designed for social studies. Now, this can be a little hard to find, so we've printed out copies for you. If any of you would like to review, just raise your hand, we'll happily bring one to you. But it is, yeah. It is linked in the slideshow, and I did annotate where you can find it if you want to look for it again. It's found in the Virginia Board of Education meeting on January 15th, 2018, attachment B. So as you see the tool in front of you, there are 2 sections. Now, section 1, which is on the screen and in front of you, talks solely about alignment with standards. And given that we chose books solely off of the pre-aligned College Board list, we controlled for that. Now, it's important to note that College Board does not officially endorse any one textbook or publisher, but they do ensure alignment. So we controlled for that in section 1 and focused our evaluation on section 2, which contains 9 criteria. Criteria 1 is about age and developmental appropriateness. The second criteria is about textbook organization. Third is on textbook formatting. Fourth is on writing style, overall syntax and readability. 5 is about information sources, the primary and secondary sources embedded within the text. 6 involves integration of skills and concepts, and that really is what are we teaching and are students having opportunities to practice those things within the textbook. 7 deals with ensuring that the textbook has a lack of bias and stereotyping. 8 ensures that the textbook includes diverse perspectives and representation. And then the 9th criteria deals with digital considerations and resources. And so the Virginia Department of Education recommends that for each of those criteria, the scorer or evaluator assign an A for adequate, L for limited, or N for no evidence. So moving forward in our process, we each scored each of the 3 textbooks individually. Then we came together to calibrate and come to consensus. As you can see on the next slide, thank you. We also wanted to quantify our scores to help in the deliberation process. And so we did that by assigning a numerical equivalent to each of the rankings. A is the highest ranking, so it received 2 points. L has 1 point, and N has 0 points. And then we brought in and added all of the scores from all scores on the committee across all criteria. There's only one textbook, Freedom on My Mind, that received a perfect score of 108. It received A's across all criteria from every committee member. Our second choice is the AP African American Studies textbook that received a score of 96. And the lowest ranking textbook was the African American Journey, that scored 77 points. And so from both our qualitative discussions and quantitative numbers, we have 2 finalists, Freedom on My Mind and AP African American Studies. From this list, we calibrated, and it's our official recommendation that we move forward with Freedom on My Mind. And so I wanted to read you something from the committee. Part of our process, not only did we individually evaluate using the tool and we calibrated collectively, but part of our evaluation process was that every committee had to write a rationale explaining why they had their first choice. I then took all of their rationales, synthesized them together, and created a combined statement on behalf of the committee. Every member has reviewed this and approved this as an official recommendation. So from the committee, Freedom on My Mind offers a highly accessible experience for both teachers and students by combining comprehensive yet comprehensible narratives with an intuitive AP-aligned structure. This textbook not only discusses complex historical impacts with clear, direct prose and sensitive content guidance, but it also empowers educators through embedded instructional strategies and specialized tools like the AP Skills Workshop. These tools and resources provide targeted practice for document-based questions, or DBQs, and multiple choice questions to ensure students can deeply analyze course themes and excel on the exam. Finally, this textbook weaves together diverse cultural perspectives, accurate factual knowledge, and a rich variety of media to support students throughout this course. And we're not the only division that thinks this. On the next slide, you'll see that many divisions across the country and within the state also use this book or an earlier edition of this textbook. Oh, sorry, one more slide. So thank you. So some of the districts in Virginia currently are Alexandria. they're all there. I do want to point out that I do anticipate that this list is going to expand. Many districts across the state are adding this course this year. And so I did want to point out that Arlington is on this list. One of the authors of the textbook edition, the teacher version of Freedom on My Mind, is Antoinette Dempsey Waters. She is an Arlington teacher. She also was co-chair of the development committee for the AP course. She also was co-author of the African American BDOE course, and she is one of the authors of the teacher edition for Freedom on My Mind within our state. But as you can see, there's a wide range of divisions, size, diversity, location, et cetera, from every region, or from the majority of the regions, I should say. Additionally, I wanted to dive a little deeper, and so I reached out to my colleagues in these divisions and said, can you talk to your teachers, the people using this textbook in their classrooms? Do they recommend it? Why or why not? And so I received quotes from a variety of educators across the state. On the next slide, I've included two for you. First is from Dr. Karen Wallace in Manassas City Public Schools. She said, Freedom on My Mind is an excellent resource for African American studies because it provides students with opportunities to interact with primary and secondary sources to gain a broad perspective into African American studies. The book also includes AP practice questions and is fully aligned to the course. The teacher edition is also great because it provides suggestions for classroom enrichment and student engagement. Cassie Farmer, a Henrico public school teacher, said, Freedom on My Mind is essential for AP African American Studies because it directly aligns with the College Board standards. My first year teaching this course, we had no textbook, and it was difficult to assign students enriching texts that supplement the work that we were doing in class. With the textbook, I've been able to easily assign texts and choose activities that directly align with the class. The textbook provides questions, DBQs, again, document-based questions, projects, ready-to-use assignments, and best practices for teachers to implement in the classroom. Without Freedom on My Mind, I don't think I would have successfully taught AP African American Studies this school year. It's imperative to have this for the course. So as we transition to thinking about, well, what will this cost? We anticipate, based on the current course request at Charlottesville High School, to have 2 sections of this course. Both sections would cap at 25 students for a total of 50 students. So the quote for 50 student edition textbooks, 2 teacher edition manuals, and access for both teachers for the online hub of resources from the publisher comes to a grand total of $7,638.91. Okay, so that brings us to today. Again, we officially recommend moving forward with the Freedom on My Mind textbook. And with your approval, we'd love to move to the community review portion. It's vitally important to all of us on the committee that we include voices from our community and that we allow for a space for students and community members to access the text, both the one we're recommending and our runner-up text, to review all of the online multimedia resources that go with these texts and to give us their feedback. So with your approval, if we move into this next stage, as many of you saw coming in today, the table is already set up with both of these texts. There's a way to, on paper or electronically, use the VDOE tool and give us feedback. Additionally, we recognize that many people in our community have daytime commitments, whether that's work or school or life at home. And so we want to be as available as possible so that anyone in our community who wants to give us feedback is able to. So I provided my communication cards, my emails on like everything associated with this adoption. I'm happy to sit one-on-one or with a small group in the community to go over the online and in-person resources and answer any questions they might have at a time that works best for their schedule. Additionally, I've worked with Mr. Timothy Johnson, who is on as a committee member and also our African American history teacher, and he's going to bring his students down to evaluate the textbooks as part of his class. So with your approval moving forward, we would continue the community review until the end of May, where then I would synthesize all of the information from the community and come back to share the final. And hopefully they corroborate our recommendation and we can move forward with the purchase and official adoption of this textbook. So with that, I'm done. Do you have any questions for me?
Oh, that was great. And I'll start down here. Any questions to my right? Ms. Dooley, Ms. Richardson?
Thank you, Dr. Brown. I was just curious to why the African American journey didn't make the cut. What was it about that particular text that didn't?
Of course, there's a variety of criteria that it scored lower on across the board. The biggest factors were overall organization and readability. The top 2 textbooks were organized in a pattern that mirrors the AP course. The third textbook had a like bar in the middle that had like an equivalent where you could find where it correlates, but it wasn't intuitive. And so everyone who was reading the book was like, I don't know how this works and how this correlates. Additionally, the printing was not high quality, and it's our belief that if we're going to adopt and spend a lot of money to adopt, that it needs to be a high quality text that is truly representative of the people covered in the textbook. So,
I appreciate that.
Of
Thank you
course.
for your time and dedication to this.
Of course.
Exciting.
Ms. Cooper? No? Ms. Burns?
Thank you. And could you remind us what prerequisite courses students would need to take to be able to get into this class?
Sure, there are no prerequisites. We are offering it as an upperclassman elective course, and there are some recommendations from the AP, like College Board and other things. For example, they highly recommend that it's taken in tandem with VAUS or APUSH, because they found that when you do take those in tandem with one another, that you score higher on both exams. I see some nods that you've also heard this. So we've been really intentional with how we position it in the schedule. Mr. Bennett has. I say we, he has. He's done a phenomenal job of making sure that we can honor as many of the College Board recommendations as we can.
Thank you. I just know it's top of mind for many of us that we're offering these AP courses to our African-American students and want to make sure that they're presented with the opportunity to be first in the seats, really, if we can. I'd love to hear that next year, how many students were able to take it.
We currently,
Do we know what that is?
We currently have 44 that are already enrolled in the course for next year. And so we do have a couple seats remaining, but we are overall very excited and to be able to honor as many of the requests as we have been able to.
Thank you. And then my other question, which I think you've answered some with Mr. Johnson evaluating his class, coming to evaluate them. I'm just wondering about student feedback, maybe if there's an opportunity. I know graduation's coming, so I don't want to task Ginger with this, but
No, I'd be happy to, yep.
if I could ask that our student reps, we can get you their contact information, if all of that.
We already chatted
could be
earlier today.
invited. Thank you. I think this is a really great opportunity to utilize them as the voice of their peers and to get their classmates excited about a new opportunity. So if we could bring them to the table, thank you.
We are going to send a message out. I forgot to mention that, but just so everyone is clear, because as much as I love to think that everyone watches these minutes and heard my speech and, we're hanging on every word, I do want to make sure that it's disseminated appropriately. Additionally, by having it housed in the annex, it's available before school, during lunches, after school. And I do highly recommend, because I know access to the annex can be a little tricky for security purposes. If anyone wants to review that text, or you hear of anyone emails you that's like, I want to just email me, I'll happily connect with them. My
Great.
office is right by the stairs.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Of course.
Ms. Bryant?
Thank you so much for all of the work you did on this. I was actually going to ask what other courses would you recommend for students to take alongside it? Just knowing some of the writers behind this and knowing like their scholarship, I think that APUSH would be appropriate. But as you already suggested, this is so exciting. I'm actually over the moon. I don't know if I'm giving that energy, but I'm so excited.
So are we.
I'm really excited about the fact that also Deborah Gray White is one of the writers of this book, because her work is, so I guess crucial to AAS majors when you're learning like the foundational elements of this work. And so knowing that this is like a kind of a prerequisite for a student who may want to study it in college or who may want to look to this sort of scholarship, I think like having her work there is so key. I guess another question for you, just as far as the course, not just the textbook, and I know this isn't necessarily, we're talking about the textbook, but what would those other opportunities be like to engage with like the Woodson Institute, which is a leading, AAS place, right? Like, so, and they do so much research, but also invite like visiting scholars and things of that nature. So like, what would that relationship be like, if any at all? And like, how will you incorporate, I guess, like outside scholars to be a part of and like engage with the students?
Clarifying question. Are you talking about for this course in particular or K-12 social studies?
For this course in particular.
So this will be our pilot year. And so part of the process in preparing for that year is we already have summer curriculum work, and we're partnering with the teachers who are planning to teach this course. I've already met with both of them, and we're our wheels are turning. And so we absolutely, in K-12 social studies in general, we recognize that we live in such a rich and robust area with many scholars who know far more than we do on certain topics. And so we already are bringing in scholars in a variety of K-12 moments and places. And so I anticipate that we continue that process. It's also important to note, as you were speaking, it was reminding me of criteria 8, which is diverse perspectives. And part of that is in authorship. And so just in case that wasn't clear before, a lot of times when we evaluate textbooks, we think of that as like who's covered in the book itself and whose stories are told and amplified and whose are silenced. But a part of this tool, then why we chose to go with the VDOE tool on this for social studies, is it also prioritizes diversity and authorship and making sure that a variety of scholars with unique perspectives are included in the text.
Thank you.
Mr. Meyer? No? Ms. Craig Hadeway, do you have any comments?
Yeah, I'd just like to say thank you so much for all the work you put into this. I think that this criteria that you evaluated the textbook with is very robust and very showing of freedom of my mind being probably the best choice. So thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you. So I think, yes, go for it. And then we look forward to seeing you back in June.
Of course, and you too can evaluate the textbooks and give us feedback. We love to hear from all of you.
Thank you. All right, and next we have our policy updates, first round of them. Thank you.
All right, so good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, and Dr. Gurley. As required by Virginia Code, school boards must review all policies at least once every 5 years and revise them as needed. So in addition to our internal review process, Charlottesville City Schools subscribes to the Virginia School Boards Association, or VSBA, policy services. And so VSBA provides member divisions with policy updates and sample policy language based on changes to state and federal laws, regulations, and then relevant case law to help ensure school division policies we remain current and align with legal requirements and best practices. So tonight I'm presenting the VSBA February 2026 policy updates along with several local policy revisions for first review. The updated policies are provided in a red line format with new language shown in red and deleted language shown with a strike through. The attached summary table also provides a brief description of the proposed changes. At the May 21st work session, we will discuss the policies that you have specific questions about in more detail, such as the promotion and retention, student health services, fundraising, and the tobacco and vapor products policies. And there were some questions regarding discipline practices that will be addressed when we update the Student Rights and Responsibilities Handbook. So the superintendent recommends that the board receive these policy updates for review this evening and then with action requested at the June 4th meeting.
Thank you. So board members, any questions now? And keep in mind, we will be meeting to talk at our work session about policies again. So we'll start down here, Ms. Dooley. Sorry.
Sorry. I had asked just about the fundraising policy, that we don't have any reference to
Yep.
crowdsourcing, donors choose,
We agree.
GoFundMe,
yeah.
and I would love to see some language
Yeah.
addressing that at some point.
Yes, we agree.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you for bringing that to our attention.
Ms. Richardson? Okay, Ms. Cooper?
I don't really have anything, but I kind of look forward to digging deeper into the retention policy at our work session.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Burns?
Nothing for tonight, but would echo Ms. Cooper retention policy and hope that we can have a robust conversation around that. Also, vape policy, just really understanding what happens when our children are bringing vapes to school, and then what happens if there's an adverse event, adverse reaction, and understanding what that looks like. So look forward to our discussion in a couple weeks.
Thank you. Ms. Bryant?
Yeah, thank you also. I know we have an upcoming work session about policy. I shared the concerns about vapes and
about retention. And I would also add that I think when we talk about the fundraising policy, I just hope that it doesn't come across to our staff as like we're trying to limit. Like I share the concerns that like there are a lot of legal like things about, you know, just like fundraising on these platforms and like what that can turn into. But I also think that like politically and socially, like there's a reason why teachers are having to even do that in the first place. And it's because they don't have all the resources necessarily that they need. So I think that there's a bigger conversation that needs to continue to be had about like, how do we get more resources for our teachers? And I imagine that all of my colleagues, I can't speak on their behalf, would agree with that. And so I just hope that like when we discuss that, we're able to think like thoughtfully about how, like what the impacts of that could be too.
Mr. Meyer?
Yeah, no, look forward to digging in right into a lot of these topics. I would ask around when we're writing policy, for example, and I noted in the retention policy change, for example, we make an assertion without necessarily citing. How do we draft policy when, is it typical that you should be citing something?
Yeah, you can add it as like a footnote or like an appendix.
Okay, so that it is possible to add footnotes when we're, again, if we're gonna be doing that, because, right, sorry, again, if we're gonna make a claim, I want to make sure we're, again, backing that up. Then our technology policy is, I don't think up to where I would like to see it. And so I would just like to make sure we add that to the work session. I think a lot of us have concerns around screens and ed tech, and if that policy doesn't really have a lot of discussion at the moment around that. So if we're not going to be adding policy around that, or their staff doesn't have suggestions around that, I guess I'd like to understand what's the plan for figuring that policy out? Or do I need to write it? Which I don't think you want me writing it, but.
Well, I think Pat and his team are working on that, so.
I would ask, I guess, Mr. Meyer, if you have specifics, and I know you've shared this frequently, but if there are specifics that you would hope to see included in that, to maybe send that in an email form to Mr. Cuomo and
Yeah, I'll send an email to Mr. Cuomo and copy all you also.
is that okay with you, Dr.?
Is that okay, Dr. Gurley? Okay, thank you.
And if
Alright.
you would copy me too as a
Yeah.
policy.
I wasn't gonna leave you out, sorry.
Excuse me, Mr. That was of course,
Just
also gonna happen. Thank you.
okay, yes. And if any of you have, like, as you review these even further, specific questions, just feel free to email us.
Yeah, and we were in our ELT meetings. I mean, some of the conversations I know that like you all are having regarding like substance abuse, vapes and things. As we work through the policies on the 21st, I think what we may find is some of these things have more implications for the rights and responsibilities versus the policies, because the policy manual directs many of these things directly to develop regulations and or ensure that they're included in their student rights and responsibilities. And I was made aware that that was one of the things that's already been advanced to the Student Rights and Responsibilities Committee, and they've met at least once. And the second meeting, I think, is this week, tomorrow.
About which topic, sir?
Student health services. So I know the question has come up about like referring students to, like, mandatory referring students to substance abuse outreach programs, and those types of things, and embedding them in the rights and responsibilities document, because that's forward facing for our families. Like, we always send families to that document.
And it's also something we can lay out in our regulation to the policy. So, and same thing with like promotion and retention, like talking about criteria and specific guidelines for schools to follow. We would lay those out in the regulations document.
Yep. So as we approach the work session on the 21st, I think we got to kind of shape our mindsets in terms of the policy outlines the structure we want to see for the school division. And then that's what directs staff to develop those subsequent regulations. So, I mean, we could spend all evening with some of these things on the 21st, but it's really about creating the structure and then staff laying it out in the regulations and or the students' rights and responsibilities document. And in some cases, it may be even some modifications need to be made to a staff handbook.
And I think specific to the health, the vaping and those types of supports. I mean, I think for quite a while, we've had different levels of conversations and concerns about what types of supports we can offer. And I think this will lend itself to the board understanding or being able to voice or to ask, like, how much can we push or mandate some types of supports for families and students who might, you know, have issues or concerns or be abusing or be victims with vapes and these types of substances. So I think that's what we had talked about, right? Dr. Gurley was just, again, I think there are a lot of valid concerns from us. And then also how do we, or what can we do to better educate and prepare the community and parents on a big scale. So I think there are a lot of those touch points, which I think you're all are aware of. So I look forward to that.
Okay. I
Thank
have a
you.
clarification question so if we're working on policy, when when would we get the regulation? Because I don't.
The policy is the business, I mean, is really the business of the board. And then we outline in regulation, how to operationalize it. So the policy is the governance piece, which is the essential tenet of the board. And then the regulation is the work of staff. So, and it's some of these, oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Like, I know you and I have had a conversation about operationalizing some things, and I can't remember which one it was right at the top of my head. And I think I said, like, once we see what that policy looks like, then we can jump in and make changes to the regulation, because if we change it beforehand, it may not line up with whatever the policy is you establish.
I think just understanding and having some expectations around what the turnaround time is on that. If we're having a policy discussion, May work session, potentially vote on some policies 1st of June, is it realistic that, I mean, if the students' rights and responsibilities doesn't get updated until July, August, is
I've given them a deadline.
Okay.
I think Dr. Trotter, the deadline is July 15th.
Next Wednesday to continue the work.
And that's specific to like retention, student health services, kind of the big ones we've hit.
Right. Well, the rights and responsibilities wouldn't have the retention in it, but anything that, I mean, if there's some things in the rights and responsibilities that are health services related in terms of student mental wellness supports, medical supports, things of that nature, then we have until July the 15th. So, I mean, that's why some of these conversations are so important that I mean, the turnaround time, we have to ensure that what we do has a reasonable expectation, because people will be going in 5 different directions at the end of the school year.
Absolutely. That's why I wanted to make sure we're managing expectations. And then for the retention policy, that's more of a regulation, if I'm understanding, where we wanted to put some clear definition to what we think retention could look like.
Yes, and we're going to have this conversation. I just want to make sure that as we work through this, that some of the examples we are using are aligned with states that have already outlined it from the state level. So, like in one of the peer reviews, it says like 25 states have. And so we have to make sure that if we are doing something like that, that we have the supports to back doing something like that. So I think that we have to keep those types of things in mind as we try to operationalize some of these things.
Yeah, that's right.
And stay in alignment with Virginia code
Right.
and the regulations.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Just expectations wise of regulations versus policy versus students' rights. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Great, thank you.
I have a question.
Yes. ma'am.
I think one thing that, or yeah, it is a question. So like, as far as like when we are thinking about regulation versus policy, where does the accountability piece come in? Because I think we're seeing how some policies are regulated firmly and some not so much. So how do we, as a board, make sure, get some sort of follow-up data to make sure that these policies are being followed, that they're working, and that they're actually aligned with the stated goals of like the strategic plan?
Yeah, I honestly think that we do it all the time in terms of the metrics piece. I mean, we are always bringing back data points. And I think, as a board, as a staff, every year we up the ante in terms of we want to see more of. So I think that the accountability part happens here. So if there's a particular thing that's aligned with the strategic plan, you're like, I want to see this annually every fall, which I think for many things we do that. I think sometimes our focus shifts and it's not aligned with the strategic plan, and I think that's when we kind of go off the rails. And so, yeah, I think you all are the accountability pieces, and the staff reports to me, and then I report to you all.
Yeah, I
that
think,
answer.
no, that's great. I think like, as far as, of course, you are in charge of the administration for each building, so we may not, as a board, get the
Right.
feedback of what's going
That's
on,
correct.
which makes it very difficult when we are, of course, approached by community members with concerns. We are limited, and I want to like be clear about that, like publicly, we are limited. We don't have access to camera footage. We don't see the things that you get to see. In that same breath, I think it's important for us to think about like, okay, vapes, for example, are something that has been a problem for a long time, and it's a problem everywhere, not just in our schools. And so I think like when we think about involvement from like law enforcement or EMT or whatever, like without getting too specific for any specific cases, I just think that like when we talk about police being in our schools, we talk about like outside involvement and partnerships, like what does that actually look like? And I feel like as we continue to talk about having community partners, having outside folks, like of course cleared to be in the building, what are the updates around these safety protocols that even our community partners are receiving? What is that training looking like? And I know we can continue this conversation when we have our policy conversation, but that's key too. I know you want to start just being more clear on what those MOUs include and tracking the data and being accountable about all of those things. I think that, the safety protocols is something that I would raise as being a concern as well, just to make sure that everyone's on the same page, teachers included. It's very concerning to me when I hear from one teacher that I didn't know this, but I hear from another teacher, I did know this, but it's all the same policy. So that's what I kind of mean around accountability. Like if
Yes.
the policy is the same, everyone should be on the same page.
I agree.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we are now 14.0, which is board response to written reports. Any questions around that? Mr. Meyer, Ms. Dooley?
I do.
Okay, Ms.
Um,
Dooley, we'll start you first.
Yeah, for the school board meeting schedule, when are we revisiting our meeting time?
Thank you. I meant to bring that up. I don't know if we want to do that at the next meeting.
For the
Does anybody have a
governance or-
sense? So again, this was a trial for 6 months, I believe we decided, or through this, the end of this academic school year to try the 6 o'clock start time. And then we were going to revisit that.
Just Chair, related to Ms. Dooley's observation, I do think we're having another work session about our organization,
protocols.
collaboration, et cetera. And to me, that would be I think, Ms. Dooley, if that's with you, I think that'd be appropriate time to discuss it next time.
So is that the June 1st? Or the June 13th? I don't know. Let me circle back and I'll send a communication out and we'll work it into one of those work sessions. If that's all right with everybody.
Sounds good.
Okay. Any other questions or comments, Mr. Meyer?
I have a question.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
guess, what are we when we made the decision to move the time back, like what were we trying to control for? Like, do we have like, are we looking at attendance, audience, involvement, engagement? Like, what are we using as our criteria to keep or to go back to the 5 o'clock?
I think those were the reasons that it was proposed to change it to 6 o'clock to see if there was a significant change in folks being able to attend at a later start time or if it changed any of that. So
Yeah, I guess my question was more of like, do we have anyone tracking how many people are coming to the meetings? Or are we gonna look at like how many people signed up to speak during this trial or not? Like, I guess I was just wondering like how it, or is it just based on our own opinion as board members?
well, we do have the lists of
Okay.
folks that have signed up,
Mhm.
you know, and keeping in mind that some of those meetings, I mean, those aren't consistent. I mean, as you see tonight,
Yeah.
it was a different turnout. So I think there's variances depending on what the agenda is and what the topics are that are circulating through. But I think that's definitely a data point that could be included, and then
Yeah.
feedback from board members as to what they'd like to do, and open to considering anything else. All right, anybody else? Ms. Burns, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to jump. Usually it's just Mr. Meyer who likes to provide comment in this section. But if anybody else to my right, Ms. Cooper, Ms. Richardson, anything?
No, just thinking about the time and just maybe depending on the topics, it can start at 6 if we needed to start later, or we want to just be consistent at 5. Just to see how open everyone is on the board, just throwing out some options, flexibility, remembering that some of us get off at 5:30, 6 o'clock, depending on the day. So just throwing some ideas out.
Great, thank you.
Colleagues, I really like my written reports. I do think it is a great way to provide information to us in the community. So, and I do appreciate the staff putting them together. I do read them and look at them. Starting with the meeting schedule, I will note we are making an adjustment for a religious holiday again, is proposed, which I'm not in favor of, but I've never heard of Maundy Thursday, and being a Catholic, having at least grown up Catholic, but I would suggest we do not make modifications to our meeting schedule for any specific religion. Next, if we're not going to make adjustments for all religions. On the social emotional learning report, Ms. Rasnick, thank you again for putting this together. I appreciated the very rich in data here, a lot of reporting here. And I noted that we did so far, I think this year, make 13 referrals to a multidisciplinary team for court intervention in regards to unexcused absences. I assume that is more than last year, but I appreciate that data and to know that we're doing that. I guess is there any other color you might want to provide us around that? Is that working? Is it helping, you think? Okay.
It's a new process utilizing that multidisciplinary team, and it engages with the court services unit. So we're identifying that team might identify services and not move forwards. But it has been a really supportive process because we're able to be collaborative and include different agencies in the conversation.
Okay. And just real quick around that, this team is being led by the position I think we hired.
No, it's led at a supervisory level. So it's coordinators of student services are the primary facilitators.
Okay. I will note, and I looked at the absentee report, we're trending all in the right direction. I'd like to see all our elementary schools look like they're going to be in the green. I hope you can hold that on, and I think we will. Would love to see more progress at CHS, where a quarter of our students are deemed chronically absent, everybody. which is a lot better than 40%, when it was a couple of years ago. But I think we got a long way to go there still, I will note. But the division is down to 18, which just puts us not in the red anymore. And it looks like we're going to hold that. So congratulations, but keep up the good work. And yeah, then I did appreciate all the reports from the visits, colleagues you made to the schools, and I appreciated reading about those too in the written report. Thank you.
Ms. Torres, I did want to chime in once more, sorry, but
Yes,
just
ma'am.
about the chronic absenteeism, just like kudos to Dr. Gurley and your team. I think this is reflective of putting process in place and being consistent with it. I know that we all want overnight immediate change, but that doesn't happen. There is some inertia. And so I think the lessons from this chronic absenteeism report can be applied to a lot of different things that we are asking of you, specifically student achievement and just all of the work that's being done. It's not always immediate gratification, but this is reflective, I think, of a lot of energy that people have put in. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dooley. Ms. Craig Hadway, did you have any? I know this was on board response to reports. All right, thank you. We are now moving on to comments from members of the community. This is our second opportunity for comment. And I don't see anybody in or on the Zoom, so we are now, oh, hold on. If she'd like to, sure. Okay, Ms. Hudson, did you want to provide comment again, please?
Can you all hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I just wanted to kind of finish up what I was saying, because 3 minutes is definitely, vape detectors should be all, vape detectors should be everywhere. Number two, I know you all, if you're trained enough to cancel 911 emergency calls, then your staff should be trained enough to know what the popcorn lung condition is and how serious that is with people who uses vapes. And then number three, in this particular situation, your staff didn't know if this was a legal vape, illegal vape, what was going on. You didn't even know he had a vape until he admitted it, that he had a vape. And so as much as you want the student, Mr. Malone, to take accountability, the school needs to take accountability as well. And that's why I'm demanding that this suspension be removed off the student's record, because you all are just as much accountable for canceling that emergency call on that student and lacking a decent emergency preparedness plan. And you need to work on one, because not only did you, this was a pure case of negligence on Charlottesville City Schools' behalf, and straight disrespect to the parents, to the parent that works for the school, and also the other family member that works for the school, who was demanding that 911 be called and an emergency person come there. And then he was on the emergency paperwork and was told that he wasn't. This was handled all the way wrong, and you all need to be accountable for that. And it's no real, issue here, other than you got to work on some type of emergency preparedness plan. And I know with this new agreement that you all have going on with this collective bargaining, that you're removing even outside training that's not educational based, but you need to make sure that anything pertaining to emergency, medical, health, general welfare of a person is somewhere locked in to your normal training or yearly training that qualifies your teachers. Because this could have been, it could have went the other way and the student could have died. And I want to make sure that that's recorded and on the record, and anybody that watched this meeting know that, because that's what could have happened. And you don't know what other health issues this young man is going to have since having this situation, or what was in that vape, why you canceled that 911 call. So I want to thank y'all for y'all time tonight, and I hope you all have a great night. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so we will now move to comments from the board. And I will start down. I don't know, Ms. Craig Headway, do you have anything else? All right, Mr. Meyer?
Yeah, no, I know that the staff here, with parents and city staff also have been working on the traffic issues that we've been having at Summit Elementary. I want to thank everybody for participating in those meetings. I think it's moving in the right direction. You know, I would say everybody's got, there's not one silver bullet to the situation, doesn't seem like, but I do think we're moving in the right direction, and I do hope to see it improve further. I do appreciate the city is sending staff there now every day to assist and help keep order. And I do just ask parents that you do follow the directions that the principal has put out there to ensure an orderly and safe arrival and departure of our students to and from school. I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Bryant?
First, I want to say congratulations to all of the students who are appointed. That was a great process, and I really enjoyed interviewing all of the students who were a part of the interviewing process. I was really impressed with like how they were interviewing. I mean, so I was like, is this a job interview? Is this a college interview? I mean, it was really good. And that was just really inspiring. As someone who was a student school board rep here, we did not have interviews. So I didn't really know how that would go. But it was great. And I learned a lot about their individual obligations and leadership roles that they currently hold. And I was just really impressed by all of the debate students and all of the students who are doing SCA student council and all of the different things that they're doing. Just really impressive. In addition to that, I want to say congratulations to any seniors that we had here tonight that we celebrated. Like, this is the best time of your life. Maybe, I don't know, maybe some people say it's college. I don't know, but congratulations on being at the end. I hope that your graduation celebration is really joyful. To the retirees, I went to the retirement celebration yesterday, and that was also a full circle moment. Mr. Mace was my A-push teacher. So loved having that class. And one thing I really appreciated about that class was that Mr. Mace pushed back against us, which prepared me for UVA. Like, it prepared me for college to be able to like defend my perspective and to have the research backing and all of those things. And I just really appreciated being in that course. And then to all the retirees, like all of the retirees that I've seen over the years and all of the contributions they've made to our schools are so phenomenal. And we couldn't do this without them. So I hope that they felt the love yesterday, and I hope that they continue to feel and receive that love. Wow, there's a lot. But I will say, as my final thing, that I think we're all doing the work to make sure that our students get everything that they need. And as we approach, like, we just had college decision day. I went to the K-Tech ceremony yesterday, and I saw students sign with their employers and with their supervisors or the teacher from K-Tech. And I thought that that was really inspiring, because now we're seeing that I feel like our division is celebrating all next steps. And I think that that is so important, especially we talk about chronic absenteeism, as we talk about retention, as we talk about these really big ideas, like what does that look like in practice when a student is reaching the end of their K-12 educational journey? And I think they will think back about all of the supports that they may or may not have received. And so I think as we continue to try to expand our services and meet all students where they are and get them to where they need to be, I hope that we continue to expand that celebration. I hope we have more students next year, and that we continue to get the word out to the community about the different things that are on the table, the different offerings, because there are so many different ways you can go after high school. All of them are valuable. In this moment, we're seeing how sometimes you think you're going one way and then you need another skill. I'll just say that. And I think that making sure that students know all of those things, they have like the preparation for what the economy is like and all of those things is like really important. So thank you all to the staff for all the work that you're doing to prepare students for their journeys. And thank you, Dr. Gurley, for all the work that you're doing too. And yeah, have a great night, everyone.
Ms. Burns?
Sure, thank you. I want to recognize our teachers, those who received Golden Apple Awards and those that didn't. You are all working incredibly hard. You are doing the hard work, and you are loving our children through a really strange time. And I think just recognizing that so many of our students are in different phases of life and experiencing so many different things in the world, and just how you continue to show up and lean in and see them and care for them in ways that may not ever win you an award, but you keep showing up and you keep doing the work. And so just really want to recognize everyone who is continuing to push in and to do that work. Also want to acknowledge Dr. Gurley and his team. We're coming to an end. Thank you for a really great school year. As a parent and as a community member and as a school board member, I feel like year 3, I'm getting to know you, and you're doing an exceptional job. And I appreciate the way that you allow us to push you a little bit and you push back on us a little bit. And to your point, that's how we grow, and that's how we get better, and how we continue to do the work on behalf of our students and our staff. And I will end lastly, probably a little emotionally, on our students. Ginger, it has been the greatest joy to love you and to see you and to care for you and to learn from you. I said recently to a friend in the community that I am supposed to be the mentor, but gosh, I feel quite mentored by all that you do and your cohort of students have done over the years. I had the joy of serving with you on the Parks and Rec Advisory Board last year, and now in this role this year, and I could not be any prouder of you and Harper and Jayla. And as I'm out in the community and attending scholarship brunches and breakfasts and just seeing how you all are so honored and cherished in the community. And I'm so excited for the next cohort of students. I just can never say enough about how wonderful you all are, and just the joy that you bring, and how you've been able to capture the voices of your student colleagues, your cohort, and bring it back to the board. And so from my heart, I appreciate you. And Ms. Bryant, thank you for joining me as a mentor so we can share some of this work together. It was great to have you sitting in on those interviews with us this year, and really just diving in and hearing all the stories and all the just wonderful things our kids are doing. And I think we'll have another wonderful bunch next year. So thank you.
Ms. Cooper.
I just wanted to echo kind of what has already been said. So I'm not gonna, go back down that rabbit hole. But congratulations to our students. That is doing an amazing job. I'm sorry that I was not able to attend the K-Tech signing, because I was under the weather. But I just remember the excitement last year, and just watching our students be able to, sign and, leave from high school and be able to go into the workforce, because I think that looks different for every student. And so I appreciate that our school division has that opportunity to think beyond college, because we know that's not a path for all students. I also would like to give a shout out to our teachers that's doing amazing work in our school division, and our administrators. Being an administrator is hard, and I just want to, thank them for all of the hard work that they're doing inside of the buildings. I have been able to just check in with some of the elementary schools, and our elementary schools have some amazing administrators that are doing a lot of the work. Of not just being administrative, but being caregivers and caretakers, and making sure that our littles are cared for. And so I just appreciate watching that in action. So again, I just would like to thank the staff and the team for all of the work that they're doing.
Thank you, Ms. Richardson.
Yes, I want to thank everyone who presented tonight, any community members who spoke up today. I wanted to touch on the vapes real quick because I remember maybe 3 years ago that we had like a parent engagement meeting or a Zoom. I think it was like after the pandemic, and it was a speaker just letting us know like how vapes are coming into the schools and like the effects of that. And I don't know if we had a session like that since then, so maybe we need to like double back on that, since it's becoming more and more of a problem. As for me, it's the school year is ending. I'm like summertime. I'm excited. It's been a great year. The board, we have been through a lot this year. I think we have grown. We've pushed each other, and I think that there's more great work to come. As I said before, like give us grace because everything that's coming towards us is new. It seems like a lot of new topics and new bargaining things are going on, and we're trying to learn from it and make the best decisions for our community. Again, thank you to the administration, and I am excited. I did hear some talk about the SRO coming into the school as far as like interviewing and things like that. So my ear is still to the streets. So they sounds promising, and we're gonna keep positive thoughts and hopeful things for that. So yeah, everybody have a great night.
Thank you. Ms. Dooley.
Thank you. So for me, this is the most wonderful time of the year. I love all of these celebrations. This is the payoff for all of the work. And so as everybody has already alluded to, all the various events that we're going to do our best to try to attend, culminating May 20th, which I think is the next time we'll all be together. We have a lot of meetings coming up, but not before graduation. And then, I have had the opportunity to work for 4 superintendents. And I think, Dr. Gurley, if I had the chance to work for you and your team, I might still be in education. And so, a lot of the highlights and accolades that we recognize today neglect to recognize you and your team that's here. And so I think for myself, and I'm sure the rest of the board, thank you.
Thank you. So I am going to repeat a little bit of what's already been said because I was making notes. So I kind of titled this Gratitude in Springtime. So alluding to, like, if you look at any one of our calendars, it's got a lot on it. And sometimes you have to pick and choose how many of those events that you can make in a night or in a week. And right now it's a lot and it feels really heavy, but it's good heavy. And it is a little, I don't know. When you look ahead, it's like, oh, how am I going to do that? But every time I walk out of one of those events, it's like a little bit more of my bucket is filled, and just seeing the joy on students' faces, on parent and families' faces, like at K-Tech last night, just the pride of being able to sit up there and sign and have a job. And it was just this, again, another thing that was really meaningful to see that. All of the academic highlights, the students receiving different scholarships, again, the signing days, the choir and orchestra and band celebrations that have been offered, theater, all of the sporting events, again, staff and teaching highlights, not just the golden apples, but the highlights that have been pushed out through social media. I mean, I look at a lot of those and I'm like, oh my gosh, I do have something that I could share about that person and know that they have touched people that I know and students and made a difference. So I mean, when you look at the big picture, it's just a great division, and there's so much that everybody offers to this community and the students on a day-to-day basis. I don't want to leave out, every morning, at least 2 buses go by my house. And I always think about the bus drivers. And if I'm out there in my pajamas shutting the gate, I'm waving. I don't know if they know who I am other than the crazy lady in her pajamas. But I do want to express gratitude and just highlight bus drivers, our nutrition workers, our CSAs, the administrative professionals, support personnel, again, the retirees, so many of those people. Again, I think Ms. Lewis said 338, I believe, cumulative 384 cumulative years of experience was represented last night at the retiree. I mean, that's just a heck of a lot, a heck of a lot. And not to leave out Dr. Gurley and your leadership team. So all of the front line work that you all do day to day. And most don't know the behind the scenes work and the time and the hours that you all put in prepping us for day to day for current operations, but already way into next year and prepping for that. So I do really, I'm saying but I know we all appreciate you and your staff and your leadership team. So thank you. Again, I'm so grateful for the opportunity to be witness to the joys of our students. And again, what the staff invests, the wins that our students, whether you're receiving a reward or again, just showing up to class and being able to interact and learn something. This is a pretty incredible opportunity. And I don't take it for granted. So thank you all. And now we have your comments, Dr. Gurley.
All right, good evening. The first thing that comes to mind this evening is the definition of our, belonging to or made by us. And our community is amazing. We don't always see it the same way. We don't always see that the direction or how to get to the end is the same, but we all want the same thing. We want the success of our students. And Ms. Richardson said that we have had some very hard topics this school year. And even in all of that discourse, our goals have always been the same. It's been the safety and or the success of our students. Our families are amazing. When I look out in our audiences, we look different, but we want the same thing, the best for the children crossing the stage. Our students are amazing. Our students have been holding us accountable, and that's what we want. We want kids, young adults who will leave here and just be better than we were. And we want them to be better than us. And they are, and they show us that daily. And I just think of where we've been and where we are right now. And sometimes we just don't thank our kids enough for really stepping up. The pandemic was hard. They gave us some hard years. We loved them a lot for those hard years, but they have been superb this school year. Our staff, um, everything that you've heard this evening, it's because someone picked up a piece of paper off the floor, someone cleaned the toilet, someone taught a child, someone drove a bus, someone administered a medication. Our staff, they're amazing. Our school board, the governance. um, It's what makes our school division operate. At the beginning of the year, I stood before you all and said, what we face, we can change. And the data is showing us that it's changing. We're setting high expectations for all of our students. We're not lowering the bar. And as I am now, I've learned from another parent and I'm now teaching my child, we can do hard things. And so we are embarking upon summer and everyone just needs to work hard. If you're in the central office, work hard because that's when we do our hardest work when no one's here because the summer is very short for us. But the reward is when we open the doors back up to receive our students. So I appreciate all the kind words. They're not about me, they're about the teachers and our staff in central office. And just have an amazing summer, and I'm looking forward to May 20th. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, work session wrap up. I think we're good. Thank you, Ms. Swift. Upcoming meetings, we do have May 21st, we have a school board work session focused on policy review and discussion here, 5 PM in the media center. So here at Charlottesville High School. We do have a June 1st governance, board governance, and that will be here as well. And June 4th would be our next regular school board meeting, 6 PM here in the media center.